Hello everybody, good afternoon, welcome to SGP, welcome to the PXN YouTube channel, and welcome to the first of 5 races on the brand new and the very exciting PXN Pentathlon. My name is Paul Jeffrey. I'll be taking you through the action this evening alongside my colleague and very good friend, Mr. Mike Noss. Mike, how are you?
I am doing amazing, Paul. We are here for the PXN Pentathlon, as we have decided that is how it's pronounced. Of course, not pentathlon. We'll just address that on the nice and early stages here. But a big warm welcome to everybody joining us. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. We have some exciting racing with some interesting formats underway, Paul, and we're going to get into that very shortly.
We are indeed. It's a very different competition than perhaps you might be used to in the world of virtual or real motor racing for that matter. And I think for PXN, they're a new brand, they're a relatively new brand in the sim racing peripheral marketplace. Great opportunity, Mike, for them to make a name for themselves amongst our fellow sim racing fans, and hopefully we'll do them justice with some very entertaining races coming up starting tonight.
Absolutely, and seeing that in chat, first off, I just want to give a big warm welcome to absolutely everyone joining us in the chats over on the PXN official YouTube channel. If you guys are joining us over there, hit that subscribe button. It's free over here on YouTube, and hit the like while you're down there as well. It means a lot. But I noticed over in chat, we have the Vappy the Water Dog saying they just bought the VD10 wheel from PXN, and it's so good. And we have some more praises being sung in there as well, so I absolutely love to see that. Let us know, chat, who are you rooting for here tonight? I saw some cheers as well for a couple drivers out there, so let us know who you want to see. We're going to get into it all in just a few moments.
We are indeed. Qualifying is right around the corner. But before we do that one, let's have a look a little bit about what today and what this competition is all about in the PXN Pentathlon Series. They're standalone races. We're going to have different cars on different tracks. Tonight, it is the Formula RSS4 at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. Then we head over to iRacing for the BMW M2 CS at Oran Park in Australia. Then it's a bit of hypercar action. Of course, Le Mans Ultimate and the Ferrari 499P hypercar. It won at Le Mans. Can it win at a virtual Spa-Francorchamps? Then Assetto Corsa Competizione for the penultimate race of the competition. It's a GT3 Open at the evil Brands Hatch circuit. That's not one to miss, mark my words. And finally, we head back to the venerable Assetto Corsa simulation. Donington Park, the national layout, my home track, and the Renault Clio Cup. 5, Mike, I'm sure you will agree, very different cars. 5 very different tests of skill for our drivers.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we can see as well as we get into it, there are going to be prizes on offer these drivers are going to be battling for, and it's a difficult challenge you mentioned here. But for tonight, as in the top 3 finishers in Split 1, now that of course is to be key. There are multiple splits out there tonight. We're going to be covering Split 1, and the winner of that tonight will be winning a VD10 bundle. On top of that, second place will be getting a CB1, and third an HBS bundle, or HBS as well. Overall prizes towards the end as well. A VD10 bundle is the overall first place prize for the end of this season, then a VD6 bundle and a VD4 for third as well. So with the prizes on offer, the drivers are going to be giving it their absolute all. And in this very different point system, Paul, they're going to be having to navigate their way through not just battling, but staying alive as well. As you can see here, the pentathlon points and how they are gained.
Yes, if you're watching this one at home, concentration time is appropriate now, because this is how the points work. You get a single point for every clean lap in qualifying and practice of an official session. You get an additional 2 points for every clean lap you complete during the official race event itself. There are bonus points for a race win in any split, i.e. 10 points for the victory, 5 points for second, 2 points for third. There'll be 5 bonus points for second place, 2 for a third as I mentioned, and then 10 bonus points if you're racing and you're streaming this to your own personal channels. All you have to do is make sure that you tag PXN and Simracing.GP into your stream. As an added multiplier on top of that one, if it wasn't complicated enough to work out on the fly, if you do all 5 scheduled events of this competition, you get a 1.5 multiplier on the points that you've accrued over the course of the series. The idea being, individual racers have individual prizes and outright winners, but the pentathlon itself if you get the most points by being consistent. Not necessarily the fastest, not necessarily the driver with the glory around them, but if you achieve everything you need to, you've got a damn fine chance of winning the big prizes yourself and taking home that VD10 bundle worth $539.
And on top of that, we see on the YouTube chat, mentioning the fact that we have the points on offer for if you have the title being in the hashtags and various other streaming the race and so on. We have Harris Cream in chat as well, live on Twitch in Split 4. So that's the other way that, of course, we can cover the other splits in a certain way, where, of course, we're only going to be covering Split 1 today, so seeing the fastest of the fast drivers, but that doesn't mean that there isn't more talent out there. And so go check out all the other tags out there that we see, of course, with the PXN hashtags, and you get to see all sorts of different action. But keep that live, of course, next to the YouTube chat, as of course we'll be here the entire time and getting ready to break down quali and seeing again the very fascinating format and the racecraft. Now, we haven't talked too much about it yet, Paul, but let's talk about Nürburgring. This is a track that overtaking is a bit of a luxury. There's a lot of following, there's a lot of hanging on by a thread, especially towards the Schumacher S's, the Michelin curves, through the Vorsteiner and into Advan, where the opportunities might start to arise. But in these Formula 4 cars, they're a little bit wide, they're not the fastest, they only have 160 horsepower and a lot of downforce, meaning that it's going to be down to the braking zones where you have to go for the gold.
Yeah, commitment's going to be a word that is going to be banded around, quite popular amongst our driving cohort. Commitment's going to be the key to success. On a circuit like this one, in a car of this, it is light, as you mentioned, but only 160 brake horsepower. Momentum is going to be where you need to be to get the lap times. On a single lap, on your own, momentum's no problem. In a field full of other drivers, all looking for those points, those results they need to progress, that becomes increasingly more difficult. And Mike, you know as well as I, probably slightly less than I do because you're a better driver than me, but slicks and wings cars usually mean you lose slicks and wings within the first couple of laps. It's going to be mighty hairy for all of these drivers right from the get-go in this first race of the season.
Absolutely, and you can see this track is very unforgiving as well. We're taking a look at the bottom of the track, the Dunlop hairpin that is going to be one of the better overtaking opportunities here. But you can see if you run wide, there is absolutely no forgiveness. And with these high downforce cars, you end up getting bumped off the track. You lose a front wing, you get a little bit of rear wing damage. We might even see rear wings pop off. You never know. It can be the end of your race in pretty much the matter of no time, and you can see again the lack of forgiveness. And as we jump down here onto the circuit, we're going to be going on board with Ryan Hill here as he begins a lap, currently pole position being at a 2 minutes 0.3. Let's see what Ryan here has to offer as he tackles the 3.1 miles or 5.1 kilometers of the Nurburgring.
So here we go then, we're riding on board the Formula RSS4. Ryan Hill is our driver and he takes us down into T1 for the very first time. I'm asking, that's a curb on the inside that you want to catch, but if you're too aggressive, it will spit you out to the scene of the accident. Through the Mercedes arena then, the corner that keeps on going is the left-hander. We keep all the way to the right-hand side of the circuit. Watch our braking zone, very easy to snatch an inside wheel here. The first part of this corner is all about the launch. For the second part here, run out to the outside of the racetrack, try and minimise the steering input. This is a momentum car. You want to carry the minimum speed as much as is possible. Heading down into the chicane, it's a tricky downhill section of corners. The second part here into the hairpin is where the real risk takes place. This is a very stiffly sprung car. It's a very firm open wheeler. It's incredibly easy to skit off the racetrack at the first sign of asking. Heading down now into the Dunlop hairpin. Mike already marks this one off as a potential overtaking opportunity for Ryan. It's all about minimising the arc of the corner to get the run up the hill into this very, very fast, high commitment chicane. Don't catch that curb on the inside, it will unsettle the curb. And for Ryan, we decide to avoid the outside curb as well. Caution is the best course of action at this stage in qualification. Then a little bit of a lift down in the third gear. We're slightly wide into the first section of the corner. That's the reason why there's traffic on the outside of the racetrack. No problem though for Ryan Hill on this occasion. Accelerating now up the back straight. It's not a straight though. It kinks to the right hand side in an RSS4 car. No problem whatsoever. Pin the throttle to the bulkhead. Eyes up, look for the chicane. So easy to miss your braking point. It's a very tight entry to this corner. Catch the sleeping policeman on the inside of the curb, run it to the outside of the racetrack, one final corner. You can win it all or you can lose it all on what is a relatively innocuous looking turn, but the right-hander will sweep us round onto the start-finish straight. And can Ryan do anything about it? It's a little bit of a slow lap time on this occasion, but there's plenty of time on the clock to try again from 13th.
Yeah, it was an invalid lap from Ryan Hill. That's very interesting, or just out of the timings there. Typically in Assetto Corsa, the way that you invalidate a lap is by having all 4 tires off of the tarmac. So what that means is you can see that little runoff area right there. The white line isn't necessarily going to be track limits, despite what you may think. It's actually going to be once you get all 4 tires onto the grass. So making tracks, for example, like Paul Ricard, a little more interesting when you have only runoff area. There's almost no way to go off the track. So hopefully the drivers taking advantage, of course, of the surface that they have out here. I was going to say this is a sim that they paid for the track, so they might as well use it. But no, this is, of course, the base Assetto Corsa simulator track. And my goodness, speaking of sims, this is what, over 10 years old at this point, Paul, and we are still racing on it to this day, and it's still one of the most competitive sims on the market. It's incredible, and yes, the modders have kept it alive and so on, but look at how amazing the cars look on top of just the feel of the sim in general.
Yep, it's a golden old Assetto Corsa. It's the sim that just won't go away, it seems. And every now and again, in development, you just find gold. And that's exactly what Kuno Simulazione did. While I'm saying that one, though, Manuel Lopez goes quickest. A 2 minutes 2.92 is the quickest time of the day. So we have a new provisional pole sitter with 6 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. And for Lopez, Mike, that's going to be critical because remember, the top 3 are the positions that take home the points and take home, more importantly, the PXN prizes.
Yeah, and also speaking of that, of course, in the PXN website, there is a ranking system, and Manuel Lopez, a platinum driver. So taking a look at some of the other ones out there, for example, Sky, or the SGP website, excuse me. Sky, a rookie in the SGP website, so we're not quite sure what he can do, but obviously 70 thousandths off of pole position with Lopez. Not much margins in between the two. We got 2/10, about a blink of an eye separating Senator in 3rd position now, and Prithvi in 4th right now, 8/10 off of it. So looking to find a bit more pace from 4th back, but the margins as well being very tight in the mid-pack.
Yeah, tight in the mid-pack. There's quite the gap, isn't there, between 3rd and 4th. Senatore currently in that 3rd place. We're looking at Vincenzo right here, right now in the RSS livery. Of course, there will be some custom liveries in this race over the course of this competition. We're running it on the Simracing.GP platform, and a relatively new tool has come to SGP to sync your liveries in community competitions. If you haven't seen that one, if you're looking for somewhere to go race on a personal level as well, not just in these esport competitions, do check out Simracing.GP. That's the platform that's hosting this competition, AK Esports, of course, behind the scenes, bringing the images to life as well. If you're looking for somewhere to race on a whole variety of platforms, doesn't have to be AC. There are many platforms in play on SGP. Might well be a place to go and visit. Simracing.GP. Check it out for your sim racing community needs.
And on top of that, of course, the Simracing.GP Discord if you do have any questions regarding any forms of anything. And on top of that, I'm loving to see some of these chat messages. I see we have Joey Bags in chat saying that they wish they were able to participate, still loving their their 12. But also, of course, some others we see. There's some drivers looking to get the VD6 as well. So Furno, looking to get that soon. Hopefully you can manage that. Love to see the support out here for PXN. And again, check that website out, folks, if you are interested in it. We are currently about halfway, a little over halfway done with qualifying here. Lopez is commanding at the top right now, Paul. The rest of the pack, is there anybody else, do you think, that's going to cut that half a second margin from pole?
Yeah, there are several drivers out there. Such is the nature of the competitive beast. There are several drivers out there that may not look in competition at this moment in time, but don't count them out until the checkered flag falls. Max Livingston is just about to start his new lap, 5th position thus far for Max, nearly 9/10 of a second away from the provisional quickest time of the day, currently still held by Lopez. But while we've got a moment, Mike, I just want to revert back to our previous conversation just about this competition in SGP. If you're watching this at home, obviously it's way too late to come and join us now, but if you want to do one of the remaining 4 races, it's based on your SGP ranking, is how they decide the splits. So you get a high enough ranking, you're in split 1. How can you, as a member of the audience, influence which split you might participate in? Simple. Just go race on SGP. Raise your ranking. Doesn't have to be in the PXN competition. It could be in any competition or community event on SGP. As soon as your ranking is high enough, you'll be eligible, should you be part of this community, to join Split 1 and with it the possibility of winning these awesome individual event prizes. So the boat has not sailed, dear viewer. If you're watching from home, you can still join us in one of the next 4 events after this one. That's a future problem though, Mike. We've got a whole lot to deal with right here and now, and with 2 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock, qualifying, just like my man cave, is hotting up massively.
Yeah, we're down to the last couple laps right now. The penultimate laps are going to be starting. Lopez still ahead. Nobody really improving on time yet. You do expect, of course, as qualifying goes on the track to get a little more rubbered in, as there's more rubber being laid down on the surface. Yes, takes a PhD to understand that, I know. Livings, though, looking like maybe you're going to be improving here. Nice and tidy through the middle sectors. No, 1/10 off, or excuse me, 1 second off of their previous time. So Livingston gonna be trying to go for it on the final time round. And Paul, I've been thinking about it here, as of course this is the first time we're going to be seeing this format on display here, and we're not completely sure what this is going to do to the racecraft. I don't think these drivers are going to be discouraged though. Yes, clean laps of course do get you points, but at the end of the day, we're talking about racing drivers here, Paul. They want to win. I don't think it matters if you give points for, oh, complete a lap here and there. If they have an opportunity to go for an overtake, compromising a clean lap, come on, I think we're going to go for it.
1000%. 1000%. The common sense answer to this one is run well within your limits, get your clean race, score the participation points, see where you stand. Common sense and racing drivers are not 2 sentences you put together. These guys might not be in real cars, they're still real race drivers in a virtual sense. And you're absolutely right. I think when the green flag waves, or the green lights, because it's 2025 and not 1995, when the green flag, no it's not, green lights, Paul, get it right. When the green lights go on, I think it's every man for themselves, Mike. I think it's the visor down, you go push, and you try and grab with both sweaty palms the best result you can at the checkered flag. It's going to be game on. It's 45 minutes, it's no holes barred, go for it racing.
And talking about quali pace versus race pace, a lot of these drivers are still within their limits because, of course, you do get points for completing laps in quali. Now, everybody being out on track at the same time, they're impeding each other. Yes, you're getting a slipstream here and there. This is not really a slipstream-friendly track. It's going to be a lot of dirty air in these cars, and especially with the low-ish downforce, you can see the wing on the back of these cars really not doing that much. The front wing doing a little bit. The rear wing is basically a giant letterbox slit, not really doing all that much. 160 horsepower, as I mentioned earlier. These cars are all about momentum, like Paul was talking about, and staying within the biting distance, especially into this first corner. This is your best overtaking chance, but not with a line like that. Senatore on pole position now, as I missed that, clearly was not looking at it, now up into the top of the time charts, but this lap not going to be improving.
Yes, Vincenzo was, shall we say, a little bit enthusiastic with how much racetrack he's using on this particular lap, but so far it's working. A 2-minute.155 is the time to beat as the timing tower clicks down to 0 in qualification. Anybody on a lap has the right to complete their lap, and then the grid will be set and we're ready to go racing for our first race of the event. Vincenzo Senatore, a name some of you may recognise. He's been around the world of sim racing for a little while now, very successful in mono-brand championships that shall remain nameless, of course. But Vincenzo Senatore, very, very fast driver, and I think coming into this one, reviewing the entry list, Mike, before we went on air, this is a name that stood out to me straight away as a driver that's going to be very much a competitive proposition. But you know just as well as I, sir, qualifying is one thing, racing is an entirely different beast, especially with the Lumen Spectre of prizes hanging over your head.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of these cars, they can turn into about, how much do they weigh? 65 or 625 pound torpedoes in a instant, especially with the heavy braking zones. Remember, these guys are going to be on cold tires on the opening lap, and it's going to be more than likely a standing start. So it's going to be Down to the driver's discretion to stay alive in these first few corners. I don't think we have any race restarts on offer here for these drivers, so if you get taken out early, that's your prospects of a prize going down the window pretty quick. Now, of course, having all 5 races being participated in, having that 1.5 times bonus is going to help you regardless if you get taken out on lap 1 or not, but you want to make the most you can, especially in the early stages of this championship.
Yep, 1000%, and it's worth reminding everybody at home as well, these are standalone events. So these are individual 5 races with the pentathlon in the background, accumulating points. But if you compete in all 5, you do get a 1.5% multiplier. So many of the names that you see tonight may well reappear on your TV screens again this time next week. Right then, qualifying. Over and done with. We haven't talked about the race format yet. It is a 45-minute race. There will be a pit stop as well for added spice and vigour and excitement. And Mike, Vincenzo Senatore on pole from Emmanuel Lopez with Robert Skastikans in 3rd, Max Livingston in 4th. That's a pretty packed first 2 rows of the grid, methinks.
Yeah, it certainly is. Behind them, Andres coming in 5th with Sai Prithvi in P6. Peter Yakush in 7th with Christian Petrov in 8th. 9th place belonging to Matthias, and 10th belonging to Perry Watt. Apologies on any mispronunciations. We're just going to throw that one out here early. A couple of these names for the American tongue especially, a little bit difficult. Zach Silver, 11th. Ben Beams running out your top 12.
And I'd just like to say a big credit to my colleague Mike Noss there, because I did the top 4 because it was easier and wasn't going to do the rest. So Mike, very brave, taking the rest of the names, well done. 13th position goes the way of Dirk Brand. Ryan Hill, we saw him on screen in qualifying. He finishes up in 14th quickest. Mikhail Arminsky is in 15th. Gabor Turzo is 16th. And Fabio Pinto is the last of our drivers to complete qualification, making 17 drivers there are. 1 racetrack, 45 minutes, and only 3 will take away a prize. My friends at home, this is going to be quite a good evening of racing, methinks, and I can't wait to get started.
Only 1 second separating our top 8, by the way. So within that top 8 drivers, Christian Petrov, 201.5. Now behind him, of course, we have a 202.0. So the gaps after that kind of margining out a little bit. Quite a few drivers, though, 202s as well. I sense a bit of pack racing on the future here, Paul. When it comes to the battles, I sense at least 1 through 3, maybe even, honestly, top 5 could be going at it here. But beyond that, I think it's really anybody's game in these battle packs.
Absolutely. It's a relatively long race, and the green flag waves very early indeed. We are under racing conditions then. Vincenzo Senatore from pole position will be hoping for the drag down into T1, and early indications are he's vulnerable. The yellow car on the outside line. To the inside goes Lopez. Lopez gets it done nice and early. Our pole sitter down in a 2nd position. He's looking for the comeback. The outside line, not the optimal place to be. Will they give each other racing room? Lopez almost comes together with the Italian driver, but they make it through 2 wide into T3. This is going to become the inside for Senatore. The opportunity does knock to retake this race lead, but Lopez just about gets it done.
And behind that, we see Skysticks here trying to just go for the over-ender on Senatore, trying to capitalize on the vulnerable momentum here. As we go into these middle sectors now, you got to hang on to your life into Ford, through Valvoline, and on your way down to Dunlop. Now, you can pull the trigger here if you're feeling bold, but remember, we're on slightly cold tires as we go for the braking zone. No takers. That's not going to be the case. Back in the background, Yakush under pressure from Silver, and Silver nearly turning into, well, fire.
Yeah, that could have been very nasty indeed. Thankfully, there's no punctures in Assetto Corsa, so we all get away with that one. Turzo at the back of the field, by the way, Gabor Turzo in some kind of strife. That car down in 17th position. Back up to racing speed again, though, so no harm, no foul. They're still in the competition and still eligible to get those clean lap points. That's why it's vital to finish these races. But look at this one, Mike. We'll worry about the points connotations later on. What I'm more interested in, the Senatore seems to be hemorrhaging lap time to Lopez ahead with quite the gap at the front of the field.
Yeah, 7/10 currently, but is coming down slightly now. Was that just the Sector 2 advantage? Was that maybe the car behind putting the pressure on and forcing a bit of a mistake out of Senatori? I'm not sure, but Lopez looking quite quick, very quick, in fact, extending to nearly a second on the lead lap. Silver going for moves in the background. While this is happening, we saw dramas for what looked to be Kalancha. Oh, goodness. Tire banging through the final corner as we go on to the start-finish straight between Silver and Yakush.
Yeah, this is going to be a real ding-dong down into T1. This is a favoured overtaking opportunity at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, and Zach Silver is highly vulnerable, and there we go. That's the position taken. Yakush moves up, Silver down into 9th, hasn't quite given up hope of this one. And right on cue, almost immediately, the counter-attack has been sprung and the position has been gained. Great driving from both drivers at pains to avoid making contact with each other. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is how we go motor racing in a virtual space. Yakush, though, enjoyed that one, Mike, quite a bit and fancies seconds.
Yeah, since we're not done yet, as we go down to the Dunlop, I do suspect blood. I suspect blood for the blood gods, skull for the skull thrones, and everything in between. Let's find out as we go into it now. From the background, Yakush is looking like very hungry, and Silver, a tasty morsel. Into the braking zone this time, it's to the inside, but a very light overtake attempt there from Yakush. He's just trying to get Silver to keep an eye on his mirrors, force a late braking zone, as of course, again, you don't want to compromise the fact that every lap that you do clean, you're getting points. It's not necessarily, especially if you're out of the top 3, about where you finish.
Absolutely, and that requires a little bit of racing nous, which I do very much enjoy. I like it when we ask our race car drivers to do more than just go quickly, and that's what makes this a very unique format indeed. Sudeika, that we saw very briefly there in 5th position, just dropping a little bit back from Livingston at this moment in time. That's the fight for the top 3. There we go, through your screen, Sirianni, just behind in the background as well. Another driver, and anybody that watches the world of esports, and in particular endurance racing from the Asia region, will know Sudeika very well indeed. Massively talented driver, down in 5th position. Won't feel quite like the way he wants it to be at this moment in time. But look at this, to the left, to the right, to the left again. Now gets the slipstream on the bike of Livingston. He doesn't know which way he's going. Does Max Livingston to the inside on the defensive. Sudeika can't find a way past. Has to give up the ghost on this occasion. But these two identical cars making our job much harder, Mike. They are game on for the fight.
Yeah, Sudeika looking so aggressive there briefly, and a very good defense from Livingston, as he was not going to be taking no for sir. Now we go back to Yakush here, who has been all over the back of Silver and finally finds the inside. It's going to turn to the out, though, through the arena sector. It's all about staying on the loud pedal and staying wide there. Did he encroach, or did he go across track limits? Maybe. Either way, continuing the fight on. Down Forv and Valvoline. Behind them, though, look at Brand. He is all over them like a rash, and this is only going to be caught. Stripe, the brakes glowing as they get through the braking zone now, and Yakush finally, no, hasn't got by yet. Silver still trying to hold on, but Yakush with the inside line into the hairpin. I think he finally is going to be able to seal this up. Maybe. No, he's on the out. Oh, goodness. Where do you make it happen?
Not there. That's the answer to that one. Goodness me, this is absolutely sensational stuff from these two. As close as you could possibly get without making contact. And then to the inside goes Yakush again. Can't find a way past on this occasion. Exit Brand to the right-hand side. Oh, there's the contact, unfortunately. And hi-ho, Silver. Zach is away.
And that is not a clean lap, folks. Now, no fault of Silver, to be completely honest. That is going to be looked at by the stewards almost certainly. And as we continue the battling on now, there is Ben Beams on your screen in another similar livery. And oh goodness, it is chaos down here in the mid-pack right now. Brand missing his braking zone. Ben Beams getting by, and Brand going quite slow.
Yep, that's the lift gas penalty, of course, for Assetto Corsa. It's been deemed by the game to have been off-track limits. You have to reduce the gas for a certain period of time until the game is satisfied that you have paid the penance for your mistake. So unfortunately for Ben Beams, for Brand, that is quite the loss of time. Somebody who doesn't need to worry particularly about losing time at this moment in time anyway is Emmanuel Lopez at the head of the pack. It was a healthy 1.3 seconds, that gap. It's now broken down under the 1 second barrier is Vincenzo Senatore suddenly digging a bit deeper and finding the pace he needs to turn this into a two-horse race at the head of the pack.
It definitely looks to be that way. Now, is Lopez overdriving and maybe costing a bit too much on the tires, or has Senatore found something here in this stage? It's still 37 minutes left to go, so plenty of time, and time is going to be of the value for Senatore. Not really for Lopez, though. In the background, third place, 1.7 seconds back. Little bit of a gap there. Not really too worried about that at this stage, as it will come down, of course, over the time that they do battle. Everybody else seemingly finding their groove and their rhythm, Paul. This is that stage in the race that everybody is just trying to survive, as we've had some dramas already, and now we just want to keep our nose clean. And as I say that, it says, Mike, eat your words.
Racing drivers do this on purpose to us commentators, I am sure. Ryan Hill then has a look all the way. Sorry, Ryan's the guy on the defensive. In fact, that is Zach Silver. So Zach Silver, unperturbed about the dramas that befell him just a lap ago, has picked it up and ran with it. Great recovery from Zach, up into 13th position. Ryan Tedbert Hill, of course, an SGP administrator as well, hence the reason he's running the SGP Simracing.GP to give us his full title livery. It's not quite been the session that Ryan would be looking for at this moment in time, but I do think Zach Silver could be under pressure, and in fact, can we get it done almost immediately? No. Hill decides discretion, the better part of valor on this occasion, and lives to fight another day.
Might be top two worst spots on this track to go for an overtake on, and it's definitely a good shot on Hill to not go for it, as we have some more dramas into the final corner there. That's Brand also getting involved, as he has a big tank slapper and a little bit of a tap to the wall. I think he maybe avoided it. If it was a very contact, but this still going on. Ben Beams battling up ahead. Can he find the inside line now? No, yes, he can for the time being. He's going to force his way to the inside line, maybe a little too aggressively. Is he going to hand that one back? Almost certainly not. This is racing drivers, folks.
Yep, any kind of fear that these guys are going to be accumulating the clean lap points can be thrown well and truly down the drain. Some fabulous racing, almost three wide, trying desperately to find a little bit of real estate amongst themselves. It's not easy here at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, but just about. Ben Beams has to slip back in, becomes the meat in the sandwich of the black and red cars around him, and Ben Beams in the brightly liveried machine will be becoming increasingly distressed, I think, Mike, it's fair to say at this stage, because as an attacking driver, the last thing you need is to see somebody in your rear view mirror bothering your rear diffuser and taking away focus from the task in hand.
Yeah, Perry Watt here, he started in 10th and he's down in 11th now, so he's going to be driving with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder and wanting to make that ground up fairly quick. And imagine if you are ahead, Ben Beams there, you're going to be sweating like a cow in a burger joint as this race continues to go on. It's 35 minutes of having a driver like that behind you. It can get quite annoying quite quickly. Now, look at this. Senatore down to the very close number there, 0.7 of a second. Lopez, we come across the line. Senatore is lapping faster than anybody on track. In fact, he has set the fastest lap of the session at a 2 minutes, 0.690, and he's closing down at a rate of knots.
Yep, this is the Vincenzo Senatore that we all know and love. Absolutely rapid as they can be, but he seems to be a man that's just painted in misfortune. There's always something that comes along to spoil a good day. Let's keep our collective fingers crossed for the Italian driver. It's not going to happen on this occasion. But what is fascinating, Mike, now we're sort of 10 minutes into this race, we can see where the pace is starting to fall amongst our front runners. Senatore's found that speed. He's made that almost near as makes no difference. Made that 1.3 second gap back up again. But the crucial thing here is, A, you need to be in the top three to take a prize today and the points, but B, you need those clean racing laps for the whole pentathlon. How aggressive are you going to be as the car in number two? That's the big question.
Well, when you're a hammer, every problem tends to look like a nail. And in this case, if you're Senatore, you cannot be a hammer in this situation. You have to be strategic, maybe a little bit of a miter saw involved with this one. Precisely cut your way through at a certain time. And really, that's just going to come down to finding their weaknesses. You stay behind Lopez for a while. You see where he's slower. Oh, goodness, that is dramas. Ben Beams taken out violently. He gets punched in the back of the head. Both drivers going to be receiving a little bit of a unclean lap, but no harm besides a couple positions lost there, and Ben Beams, unfortunately, is the victim.
Yep, and there for Ben is a very graphic illustration of the point that we were making not a few moments ago, that when you're in that battle and you've got the multiple points of focus as a driver, it just more often than not leads to a bad time. And in this structure, where the reward is very firmly in the favour of those that keep the car on the grey stuff, that's going to hurt Ben Beams no end. Looking then at this race lead battle, 32 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. There's still a pit stop to be made before we wave the checkered flag. But that's kind of a shame, because this one is bubbling up to be a bit of a rip snorter at the head of the pack, isn't it?
And that actually might be the best way to go for the overtake, though. We go for a little bit of an undercut there, go for some tires earlier, maybe a little bit heavier fuel tank, I guess, maybe not quite that. Is the late pit stop going to help? Now, in the Nürburgring, I can pull up the notes as I have the pit stop length here, but that's going to take a second. It's a longer pit stop here. I do know that in the pit lane is going to be the newer style. Of course, it was revamped at some point, so not too difficult to enter, not too difficult to exit. So shouldn't cause too many dramas. And I don't know, what do you think, Paul? Undercut or overcut today?
Well, you know, and anybody who knows my commentary will know what's coming next. But for the benefit of those that don't, I'll do it all again from the beginning. I am a fan of an off-strategy pit stop cycle. I don't like the stopping slap bang in the middle of the race or the pit window, whatever it may be, because that's not really going to do anything. You're just serving a mandatory requirement. You're taking no advantage, you're taking no chances. So for me, I would be very much dictated about my track position, the battles I'm in, where I feel I can or cannot extract the raw pace that I'm capable of. But the key is, the short answer is, do something different. Do something different. If you're not in the top 2 or 3 places, roll the dice, man. Roll the dice. See what happens. If you finish 4th or you finish 9th, as long as you've not crashed, still the same points. So do something different. So shake up.
And a pit stop around here, by the way, folks, around a minute, just for anyone who is curious. That's going to be with a full tire and fuel set. So everyone going to have to be doing that at some point here. Battle on track again. Silver trying to make his way through the field. He's going to be battling against Arminsky, and he gets sent off to the Shadow Realm for a second time.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's more bronze than silver, isn't it, for Zach? At this moment in time, it certainly isn't gold. That's one thing for sure. We'll come back to that one, though. We'll unpick that one in a few moments' time, because the mighty matter of a battle for our race lead is well and truly lit. We are on. Vincenzo Senatore to the outside. Manuel Lopez is leading this one in the blue machine. Blue or yellow? Which one's going to head the pack? Senatore, Mike, has got the body language of a man who is in a mighty hurry.
Yeah, he does, and I'm actually quite confused on this, because really there's no need to go for this at this stage. There's still 30 minutes left. There's a pit stop to go, and you're going to be all over him. You're just going to be compromising your tire life, getting in that dirty air. Everything's going to be getting a lot hotter. But as these two, they're going to be crawling around like salamanders right now. Down into the braking zone, it's Senatore who seems to be all over him and best to make it through. I don't know, though, Paul. This seems like a bad decision.
I agree for Senatore. This is risk you do not need to take. Nothing good can come of this one apart from the points. There's the inside line for Vincenzo Senatore. I think he's a little bit too far back. Yes, he is. The Italian driver is more than aware that a risk, a half-measure move, is going to cost way more than it could possibly reward him with. And this is, again, love it or loathe it, this is where the point structure really, really works well in this competition. Because if you're this man, Vincenzo Senatore, you can't send it up the inside and hope. You need to be pinpoint precise. That's the only way you're going to make a move around here. And we're going to really, really see the quality of these drivers now, Mike. I'm certain of it.
Oh, I absolutely agree. But the thing that's always going to be looming in the back of my mind, 10 points for a win, it's 5 points for second. That's 5 entire points. It's going to be different. And if everything goes according to plan, the two will be finishing with the same amount of points in terms of clean laps complete. Now, the only difference there would mean who's going to be ahead. And currently, I think if you're Senatore, you're going to be looking at what's going to be basically a Gordian knot in Lopez. And how exactly do you untie this problem ahead? Where are you faster? Where are they going to be slower? Currently, you're slower through most sections as you run wide there, Senatore. You got to definitely tidy up the lines, keep it between the mayo and the mustard there. Shout out to Tom Bryant for that one. It's on his bingo card, our producer behind the scenes. Senatore, though, where do you make it happen? And currently, I'm not seeing many spots.
No, the key, I think the premium choice here for our car in second position is just to apply pressure. Apply pressure as hard as you can onto Lopez. Try and make the race leader make a mistake. Effectively, give yourself a free overtake. Just apply the pressure, make it hard for the blue machine at the front of the field, make him think about what's happening behind, just steal focus away from the task in hand. That's the easiest play for Senatore. But what is really interesting, what I'm delighted, in fact, to see happening, is while these two are squabbling, it's probably not quite the same word I would use, but while these two are occupying each other, car number 3, third position, there we go, thank you very much, Tom Bryant. Game on. 3 cars are now fighting for the race victory, not just 2.
And this is part of the reason I really don't like Senatore's actions here. Now, I think what he is trying to do is extend over the rest of the field here and get away from Sky Stance. Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. Get away from P3, Robert here, as quickly as he can and let Lopez kind of be the rear gunner and the problem child here, because seemingly out of nowhere, we haven't seen the fastest lap just yet from Robert. But as we come to the line here, let's see, what do we have for lap times? The Senatore is going to be bottlenecked. He's slower. I can't read the lap times. Goodness. Okay, I'm not sure. 2/10 quicker for P3. There we go.
Yeah, and that's, again, pure and simply because this car here, the car in second position, Vincenzo Senatore, is bottled up behind Lopez. Lopez clearly does not have the pace of our trio of race leaders. He is the cork in the bottle. Ben Beams finds a little bit of real estate to insert himself into. One man, thank you very much. Arminsky is the one that loses out. Ben back up into the top 10. That's going to help his charge no end, but it's been a race of adventure, shall we say, for the bright pink machine. And a bit of a shout out, Mike, actually, before the pit stop start, to Racing Studio, RSS, that are the team that provide this car, a modding team. I'm sure you all know of them very well. They've done a whole variety of different cars, work very closely with Simracing.GP, and this car is available to race on this platform, and it's the older generation RSS4, so it's a free piece of content as well. So if you want to dip your toes into RSS content, great car to do so, and you can do it on SGP as well.
Yeah, it really is. And for all of Race Sim Studio, by the way, in terms of the content that they create, whether it's GT cars, Formula cars, or any car in between, hypercars especially, the one thing that I often like to say is these cars almost look out of place. Oh God! Speaking of looking out of place, Lopez and Senatore have come together, and Paul, we have a new race leader. Robert deems his way into the lead like taking candy from a baby.
Yes, that was clumsiness personified, and this is what we were saying. Senatore was taking risks he did not need to take. I have to see it again to unpick whose fault it was, but the key is, if you're that close to the car in front, doesn't matter whose fault it is, any drama will lead to an accident. Vincenzo, though, did get away with that one. He holds on to second position, and immediately Emmanuel Lopez decides now is the time to dive down pit lane, get that mandatory pit stop out of the way. The window is open. He's done something different. He's immediately my best friend, and Emmanuel Lopez stems the flow of disappointment. The first stop of the 2025 PXN Pentathlon season.
And now with a 10-minute pit window, so the drivers will have until 15 minutes to make the entrance into pit lane. Are you going to see the late takers or the early takers? I'm pretty sure Senatore is going to call the strategy of Lopez. I don't see a way around it. If the tire difference is going to be playing too much of a role, but the thing about it is Robert here, where is he going to slot into this? I'm pretty sure next lap he's also going to come in, but 6 seconds ahead of Senatore. He has been gifted this on a silver platter.
Yeah, Robert Cascal will be absolutely delighted with that one, and that was exactly the strategy that Robert needed to do. He was in third, he was detached from the two race leaders. Go about your business, deliver the lap tides, close the gap, apply the pressure, be there when the opportunity presents itself. And that's exactly what Robert has done. Emmanuel Lopez, that we're picking up on very briefly there, is in 8th position, having served that pit stop. So it's not all lost just yet. And Vincenzo Senatore, from battling for the race lead, is still battling in 2nd position. But this time, he's the one in 3rd place. And Max Livingston is the driver that holds that 2nd position. Not for much longer, though. If Max goes surfing on those curbs, just like that one, but for Senatore, what do? Do you stay on track? Do you cover off Lopez? How do you play this one? This is a big, big ask for the 3rd place car.
I think by covering off Lopez, I think you put yourself into a much better strategy in the fact that you just get on the newer tires quicker. You're able to go out there and lap faster. As currently, Senatore is clearly quicker, but he is bottlenecked. And this right here, I think this is absolutely the right decision from Vincenzo. Goes into pit lane, new set of boots, new bit of fuel, and he'll be back out on track right around this man on your screen, Emmanuel Lopez. Question is, will he be ahead or will he be behind? I think he's going to be behind at this stage due to the bottlenecking and, of course, the collision and the results thus.
Yep, Lopez came off of the instant as the worst of the two drivers, but as you say, because he made that decision, may actually have given him the advantage. Let's take a little look then. Manuel Lopez, that we see on track flat chat. There is Vincenzo Senatore just leaving his pit box now. So that one, big advantage to Lopez. That's worked out very nicely indeed for the blue machine. Problem for Lopez, of course, he's still got a few cars in front of them. Hopefully they will clear during the pit cycle. But what it does mean is look at the 7.5 second gap that Robert has at the head of the pack. You don't get that kind of racing fortune very often, Mr. Mike Noss, and I reckon this young man with the most difficult to pronounce name in the world will be rather grateful indeed for that.
Absolutely, and it really came to just being the exact name of this championship, to be honest. This championship, it prides you on being consistent, being calm, cool, and collected, and sticking with it to the very end. Now, we still have 20 minutes left to go. Anything can happen in racing. It does. But it was that calm, cool, collected nature that led to Robert here leading this race. He just hung on. Oh no, I'm 1.6 seconds behind. Oh goodness, speaking of hanging on. Great little save right there from Robert. Let's not put it to an end at this stage. But really, it's just down to the fact, again, that he was consistent, kept it in the back burner, let the two drivers ahead get overly aggressive. They took each other out, and he was there to pick up the pieces of the puzzle, and now he just has to put it all together.
Yep, really, really good stuff. By the way, 6 seconds is the advantage that Lopez has over Senatore in 7th and 8th place. So that's worked out very nicely indeed. Next question, as I've just been whispered in my ear by our producer, Tom Bryant, is it might be very close indeed between Robert and Lopez when Robert makes his pit stop. So that's another one to keep an eye on as Max Livingston decides he's had enough of these boots and comes for a quick change and a little bit more of the go-go juice in the tank.
Now that's very interesting to me that Robert could be that close to Lopez, because if I'm not mistaken, at the entry of the pit stop for Lopez, it was nearly 7 seconds, I think, or a little bit more than that even. So how did that time come down that quickly? Let's find out as we still have Robert out on track. It must just be the tires. Did they fall off a cliff that hard? I guess we'll find out.
Yep, only 5 more minutes left on this pit window. Everybody, of course, must come in, serve their mandatory pit stop. They have a choice. They don't have to take tyres and fuel. They can do if they so wish. It'd be interesting to see again how that strategy plays out amongst these drivers. Do you short fuel it, put some fuel in the stop? Do you tank it and just change boots? Lots of different connotations that all these drivers will have to try and unpick before, during, and probably after as well, the event. But for the easiest job in the house for any one of these drivers is for this man in the matte black machine. Our race leader currently has an 8.2 second advantage. That one is building from Studeker down there in 2nd position. So it's all looking good with 20 minutes left on the clock, Mike, and I reckon if you're Robert, you're probably really not going to want this pit stop cycle to happen, are you?
No, you're absolutely not, but you're going to have to take it, and unfortunately you're going to have to take your medicine relatively soon. I suspect he goes in this lap. Now, if he doesn't go in this lap, Paul, I think he is going to be following the strategy that you had mentioned and just not taking tires. That is going to, of course, shorten your pit stop. Overall, you're just going to be going in for fuel. And there we go. He stays out. So that's exactly what he's going to be doing. At this point, there's not even going to be enough time to get heat into the tires. So he'll be coming in after this lap. He has to. He has no choice. And he'll be going in for more than likely just a bit of fuel. Let's see the lap times. 2:01.2. Now, the fastest lap is a 2:00.6, if I'm not mistaken. That's nearly 1 second off of the fastest lap. Lopez, though, thankfully for our leader, he's stuck in traffic a little bit.
Yep, that could help no end. By the way, in second position, the Assetto machine jumps down pit lane as well. So with 3 minutes, 10 seconds left on the clock, we're running out of chances to go and do that mandated pit stop. Petrov as well in 5th place has just gone down pit lane. So Lopez moves up into 3rd position. But as we've mentioned, the big one is, where will he be in relation to our current race leader? 28.9 seconds is the advantage that this man has over 3rd place Lopez. Senatore, by the way, shuffles himself back up into 4th, and crucially, Mike, that gap's gone down by a second between Senatore and Lopez. That's a fight that I don't think we can put to bed just yet as well.
No, and he just set the fastest lap on top of that. I just mentioned that was held by Lopez, now held by Senatore. He's got a 2:00.5 now, so a 10th improvement on the previous fastest lap. That means that the rubber is now in, of course, with a fresh set of boots. He's got a little bit less fuel than he had at the start of this race. And he's going to be able to wring the neck of that car just a little bit harder. Now, the gap, though, is not insurmountable, but it's going to be difficult to come down. As of course, Lopez, he is no slouch. That 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds, however you want to count it, that's quite a bit of a gap. And I'm very, very curious here what our leader is going to do. Obviously, he has to pit on this lap, but now this is where the strategy comes into play. Do we see him take tires or do we not? If he does, he'll absolutely come out behind Senatore even. So he's going to have to go in, and he's going in now.
Well, one thing that we do know at this stage is found another second in terms of gap to the cars behind on this in-lap. So the pace is there. That's a bit of traffic, I think. Can I see a bumper? Yes, we can see a rear wing just over the pit wall. So the bit of traffic perhaps wasn't quite as aggressive onto the pitting line as Robert would have liked. That's a few tenths of a second left on the table. And this is going to be close. I don't know how, and I can't work out how, but I reckon Lopez might just steal this position away.
Wow. I don't even think it's going to be close. That's incredible. How did Lopez make up so much pace? He's just an absolute rocket ship right now. Robert, is he still stationary or has he got going? He is out, so he absolutely did not take fuel, or excuse me, did not take tires. He is out. He's ahead of Lopez. There's Lopez just in the back of shot. That's a back marker ahead of him right now. But Lopez on fresher tires. Robert, he's going to be on old rubber, but less fuel. This is really anyone's game. 2.5 seconds. I think Lopez can pull that one down in a lap.
I always doubt before going into a broadcast if the race will be a good one or not. 15 minutes to go. 2 drivers for the race lead, closing each other down with a bit of traffic in the middle. Worry completely and utterly evaporated. This is going to be an absolute ding-dong to the checkered flag. Manuel Lopez desperately needs to get that back marker out of the way, and there we go, right on cue. We pull completely to the right-hand side. That is Terzo, currently in 17th position. Couple of laps adrift of the pack, so good bit of driving there. And now, fresh air between our top 2, Mike. May the best man win. Roll on.
A bit of breathing room, and the gap, Robert, is extending right now, despite the fact that he's on that old rubber now. Is Lopez's tires not up to temperature yet? Almost certainly there's no way. They have to be up to temperature by this stage. Is it that back marker that was eking at him a little bit? I'm not sure. But whatever it is, Robert is looking like the favorite to win this race right now. He's on old set of tires, but he has every single bit of willpower to win this one. That's going to be 10 points. Keep that in mind for the race winner, on top of every single clean lap that was complete. We know that Lopez and Senatore are going to have less clean laps complete. Yes, they got into a collision together for anyone that missed that. Oh, goodness, and they almost nearly, Senatore taking out a similar livery car of a back marker, so almost picking up a second incident point here. You want to limit those. You need the clean laps, Paul, as that's going to be the bulk of your points.
Precisely that, and this is why the PXN Pentathlon is such an interesting format. If you missed the top of the show, just to explain very briefly what we're doing here, we're on the Simracing.GP platform. Broadcast is brought to you by AK Esports, and we're doing the PXN Pentathlon. Five standalone races, different tracks, different cars. Today we're at the Nürburgring in Assetto Corsa in the Formula RSS4. Standalone races, the top 3 take points, the top 3 take PXN prizes, a VD4 bundle, a CB1 bundle for second, and a HBS for third position. That's for the race today, but they also score points. As Mike mentioned, 10 for a win, 5 for second, 2 for third position, plus points for clean laps completed in race, practice and qualifying. So yes, we are focused on Robert at the head of the pack and Lopez and Senatore, but what we're not missing is the fact that these drivers are all trying to pick up the points for themselves as well. This is the first adventure of 5. I reckon, Mike, each and every one of these drivers is going to be back, and they're going to be back probably for the rest of the season for that 1.5 multiplayer.
And on top of that, you at home can sign up as well if you head on over to the Simracing.GP website. You cannot sign up for this race, of course, as it's already taken complete, but next race is going to be on iRacing in the BMW M2s. That's free content, folks, at Oran Park. You do not want to miss it. That's going to be August 28th, 7 days from this current broadcast. If you're watching later in the VODs, first off, we thank you. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. But do sign up as well, as of course we have August 28th, iRacing in the M2s. We have LMU. There we go. After that, in the Ferrari 499P, we have, that's September 4th. September 11th, we have ACC, and that's going to be Brands Hatch. And then to finalize this standalone championship, this pentathlon. What am I talking about, Mike? This pentathlon is going to round out on September 18th in AC in the Clio Cup, something that Paul Jeffrey knows quite well.
Oh, I adore me some Clio Cup racing. Up until very recently, I still had a front wing from a Clio Cup that I borrowed from the racetrack at Donington Park in the 1990s. But anywho, let's not talk about that one. Back to the here and now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. 11 minutes and 30 seconds left of your time and attention we require to see out to the checkered flag what has been a fascinating first race of the campaign. The key talking points coming into this final sunsetting of this 45-minute motor race is the pace of Vincenzo Senatore. He's got the pace over Lopez in second position, but crucially, critically, vitally, absolutely left field is our race leader is pulling away 5.7 seconds. All of the focus now is on the fight between second and third place. And Mike, there may be, just possibly, a little bit of added spice between these two, thanks to the contact and mere 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, definitely adding a little bit more to the drama. Again, a little bit of a chip on the shoulders, I often like to say, but you'll hear me talk about this little red mist that the drivers can see. Now, Senatore, well, yes, he's been in contact with Lopez in the past. He's also had a few more bits of contact as well in between that. And every little incident that you get into, that red mist, it gets thicker and thicker into a fog, and then a haze, until eventually it turns into a red goo, and that's you on the wall after, of course, hitting it at about Mach 10. Haven't happened yet to Senatore, but of course, Paul, you know very well, it can happen to the best drivers out there. It can happen to some of the worst, but it can certainly happen to anybody, as it's emotions in sim racing is something we often don't talk about as much, but it's real. This might be sim racing, but the emotions that you feel are just as real as the ones you were if you were in a regular car.
1000%. If anything, actually, usually, by the fact that we're not in a real car, suggests that we have less money than racing drivers. So the emotions probably run higher because there's prizes and pride on the line. While we've been watching this one, by the way, our race leader, Robert Skastikams, has set the fastest lap of the race. So just to really hammer on the point that Mike and I were making, our race leader has been playing it pretty cute, I think. He's been playing it pretty steady for the first half of the race. And as soon as the pin was pulled and the grenade was launched, that man ran like the wind, and that is a very, very comfortable position to find yourself in the final 9 minutes and 10 seconds of this.
I also think I was wrong. He had a very quick pit stop, but he must have taken tires. There's no way that you could be putting in that sort of lap times without having taken tires. So I guess just a light load being taken on board. I'm not sure, but that was it was a short stop relatively. Ooh, and a big lockup for Senatore. Now the fight is on. Now Senatore, you mentioned that pin to the grenade getting pulled. I think he's cooking it in his hand right now, and it's just a matter of time before it goes off.
Absolutely, Senatore, though, he's been bitten once already in his fight between himself and Emmanuel Lopez. Maybe, just maybe, that's going to apply ever so slightly more caution into this particular manoeuvre. One thing we've learnt from this 45 minutes just under a racing to open the PXN Pentathlon campaign is if you're going to make an overtake, you need to be 1,000% committed to it. This could be an opportunity, Mike. He's a brave man who sails at the inside of the chicane.
I don't know about this. This is, again, probably the worst overtaking spot on the entire track. I don't actually think you could pick a worse corner to go for it. The NGK chicane. Yeah, on the calendar, honestly, you're probably right. That's a heavy pinch point. High speed, high commitment corner, very narrow, not meant for two cars. In any form of racing, to be honest, does not matter what it is. The two cars does not go into one in that case. But now this corner coming up into Haughaken in the arena section. This is where overtakes can happen, but you get a little bit closer than Senatore right now. But using that opportunity to close up the gap, get nice and tight onto the rear diffuser, and maybe sneak to the outside for the arena section, which will turn to the inside by the exit. Not going to happen on this occasion. Maybe we'll be looking at it down towards Dunlop. But wow, that car is looking aggressive. It's looking very wiggly for Senatore, and I wonder if he's just used a little bit more rubber than the rest of the drivers around.
Yeah, there are plenty of questions that still need answers, but one that certainly doesn't is how hard is Vincenzo Senatore pushing that third place machine? You've seen it with your own eyes. It is very hard indeed. The problem is, when you go up to the envelope and wave at the line, sometimes, just sometimes, you slip over the edge. So Vincenzo Senatore needs to be super cautious at this stage. He's already had one bit of contact with this driver ahead. He's already had contact with the back marker as well. He's gone from being a potential race winner to somebody now clawing to stay onto the podium placings. And out of all the drivers in this field, I would not want to be in the shoes of that yellow and white machine. It is going to be a pinpoint precise, but in fact, there we go. Hold your horses, hold the phones, take off your hat and have a crash. There we go. It was almost good until it wasn't good anymore.
And hold your steering wheel simultaneously, because that was a severe lack of the middle pedal for Senatore. He went for the take on to Lopez. Lopez saw it coming from a mile away, gave him all of the room that Senatore could ever want and more, because he didn't want to be collected in that crash. And a brilliant decision-making process for Lopez, and unfortunately a not so brilliant display of car control from Senatore, who we've unfortunately seen that on a couple occasions, and that resulting is now Livings up on the podium.
And take a bow, Max Livingston, because basically this entire series has been designed for someone that executes a drive just like this man has done. Massively low-key, seen very little of Max during the course of the race. He's been involved in no dramas, has made no serious overtakes, he's had no particular battles. And I could almost guarantee, looking at the body language of the car, he's probably done every single lap cleanly as well. It wouldn't surprise me if this man comes out with the most points at the end of today for Max Livingston. He's done exactly what the PXN Pentathlon has been designed to do. He's committed to the task in hand, he's made no mistakes, and the reward, at the very worst, will be a HBS worth $80 and the 2 points that come with third position. So for Max Livingston, bravo. That is playing the game exactly as the rulebook allows. It's working out gloriously well.
That's a really good point, actually, and I think now that you mention it, I think Robert's in the same boat, where he hasn't had a single mistake, not one that I remember at least, for this entire race. So keeping a maximum haul of points for our P1 sitter, and well, P3 looking quite good as well. Lopez, again, we know, has a couple incident points being marked up, or rather not incident points, I shouldn't call them that, but lack of invalidations. There we go. Thank you, our producer Tom Bryant in the background. Yes, some invalidations that, of course, not counting towards their point total for getting a clean lap. It's an interesting format here, and even though we're getting the P2, is Livingston going to finish, or excuse me, Livingston, is he going to finish ahead of Lopez?
this is maths, my friend, that I am absolutely not doing live on air. So hopefully somebody will tell us before we say goodbye. But if they don't, hashtag PXN on social media for all of the news about this championship. And of course, PXN as well, and their product line that is rapidly expanding. They've gone into the direct drive wheelbase market, and I've not had a chance yet to touch any of their products, but from what I'm hearing, from what chat on the PXN official YouTube channel is saying, it seems like it's been very impressive indeed. So keep your eye on that one as Ryan Hill keeps his high on 15th position. Fabio Pinto, though, doesn't particularly feel like giving it up just yet for 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock.
Just because you're down doesn't mean you're out. We still got a battle on for Ryan Hill here, and it's P15, but that does not make a single lick of difference, and whether it's for P15 or what. Okay, maybe it did. Pinto handed it over. Okay, not that dramatic. All right, never mind. But yes, we saw Joey Baggs in chat, as I mentioned earlier, talking about and singing the praises for the PXN V12 DDL. So definitely a wheel to take a look at. I also have not had a pleasure of trying out this equipment, although I'm pretty sure if you guys are over in Germany, I think they have a booth set up at Gamescom. Don't quote me on that, but I think they do. So definitely check that out if you are over there and that's still going on. So big shout out there to PXN, and thank you for everyone watching on the PXN official. Hit that subscribe, hit that like button for more races to come. And also, again, you can sign up yourself over on Simracing.GP. We still have 4 rounds left to go.
And if you are over in Germany and watching this, what's wrong with you? Go to the gas house. Come back to this one video on demand. You're in Germany. Enjoy it. So, anywho, 2 minutes and 32 seconds left on the clock. And that gap, kind of immaterial now, but it's worth mentioning because it's a good achievement. The gap to Lopez now has extended to 11.2 seconds. This, Mike, has been a real impressive second stint here for Robert at the head of the pack, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Robert's using some PXN equipment as well, so I do not expect a disconnect by any sort. So pretty much the writing is on the wall at this point. Robert, going to be taking the win here more than likely, so a great job to him. I mentioned, speaking of other drivers that do have the same equipment, Mr. Lal drives as well, uses the PXN V12 Lite, and has been using it for a year now. There's nothing but good things to say, so that's awesome to hear. We thank you for joining us in chat. Hopefully, you can get in the next race. I'd love to see you out there, Mr. Lal. So hopefully we see you in the future. But in the meantime, folks, 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and this is pretty much a parade lap for Robert.
Yep, for sure. Just before we do go back to the racing action, while we're still on the PXN topic, by the way, all drivers who compete in all 5 rounds of this pentathlon will receive a 15% discount coupon for the VD Series products from PXN, courtesy of Simracing.GP. So if you're already in it, you've got a voucher coming your way, and if you're not, make friends with somebody that is, because they'll have a voucher they can give you. So there we go then. 1 minute left on the clock. Can you believe it's been 45 minutes of RSS4 action? And I reckon these guys out on track have done us proud today. Mike, it's been quite an entertaining race and a very deserving, should things stay as they are, race victor as well.
Absolutely. Let's just take a look back to qualifying when we talk about who started where. Senatore, he started on the top in pole position, and since then he has fallen not so far, but out of the podium sitting contention. He's down in 4th right now, so a loss of 3 positions. Lopez, he currently is where he started in 2nd. We have Robert, he started in 3rd. He is leading this race, so up 2 positions from there. Livingston, he started in 4th, now in 3rd. And with behind that, we have Serini as well, who started 5th and now is in 6th.
Right then, you can see for yourself there's 14 seconds left at the top of the timing tower through the final corner. Goes Robert Skasty-Carnes. Will he take the checkered flag and the first race victory of the day? He doesn't feel confident enough to slow down, so final lap is in action. And oh, Mike, I don't know about you, but that feels like it's a little bit too risky when you could have just slowed down and took the win.
Alternatively, this is more points. So this is going to be an extra 2 points for him. So this is a little bit meta. Now, the thing about it is, right, is this other people as well. If you don't complete a clean lap, then you've just lost out. I do think Robert's going to complete the clean lap, to be fair. But hey, look, I'm just saying, all right? It's just a thing that we can talk about. Another thing that I really want to talk about real quick is Mr. Lal Drives. He's watching from Pakistan, so big welcome, shout out there, of course, welcome from Americas over here, and of course Paul from the UK's. And we have Mr. Steve Proudly in chat as well. So big shout out over to the AK Esports brand, of course, for putting on this production. And Steve Proudly over in Germany at Gamescom and watching right now.
Hope you're having a great time, Steve. Not jealous at all. Say hello to everybody. Anybody who is in Germany at Gamescom, by the way, hope you're enjoying yourself. Make sure you head over to the PXN booth and have a look at some of this hardware that Mike and I have been speaking about. Very interesting small form factor motors on their direct drive wheels as well, which, when we're all conscious of space, not necessarily a bad thing at all. But not a bad thing at all is this man. A few final words on our race leader, Mike, as he's parading round for the final lap in what has been a consummately professional drive.
He has done everything that this championship wanted. I think that's the best way I can put it.
Yep, absolutely. He's been really on the money. It's all about consistency at the PXN Pentathlon. And our race leader is Mr. Consistent. Marry that with a great deal of pace as well. And being in the right place at the right time can often bring the big rewards. But for the final time, in event number 1 of 5 at the PXN Pentathlon, here on the PXN official YouTube channel, the Simracing.GP and AK Esports UK, it is a race victory for Robert Skarskalms. Takes the win. He was there when he needed to be. He took the opportunity when it was presented, and with it comes the victory. The VD4 bundle worth $299, and crucially, the 10 vital points to the PXN Pentathlon that will be decided later this year.
Lopez coming across the line with a consolidation prize of P2, and of course a helpful handing from the giveaway as well. Going to be second place, getting a CB1, so a nice $100 prize there for Lopez, despite the fact that yes, he did get punched in the rear earlier on by Senatore, but still finishing in the top 2. A very heartfelt effort and a great drive. And Livingston as well, finishing in 3rd and getting the HBS prize. He is going to be taking home that, of course, with driving utter consistency throughout the word go.
Yes, some fantastic performances. We've seen some racing action. We've been side by side. We've had contact at the head of the pack. But crucially, most importantly of all, we have seen 17 drivers go out there for a 45-minute race and give their absolute everything for them, their own performance, their own sponsors, and most importantly, for our entertainment at home. And it has been a very entertaining race indeed. SGP admin Ryan Hill, that we're looking at now in the official SGP liveried Formula RSS4, goes through the final sector for the final time. 15th position is not quite what Ryan would have been hoping for in this one. But Mike, it's a 5-round standalone series. We'll see some of these names again so they can get the 1.5 times points booster. And it's just learning. Every time you're on track, you're learning about yourself, the car, the championship, and the drivers that you're racing with. For the likes of Ryan, hopefully those learnings can be taken away and he can come back a little bit stronger when we head into the BMWs on iRacing next week.
And that's one thing we haven't really talked too much about as well, is the fact that we head over to a different simulator, Paul. And with that, some drivers, they have more strengths on one sim versus others. So potentially for Ryan Hill, maybe he's an iRacer at heart. Senatore and Lopez, maybe they're a little bit of the AC. They've been around the block in that terms. But maybe that's what we need to see. Maybe he's an ACC driver. But that, of course, we'll see come out in this championship. We got 3 different sims left. Well, no, 4 different sims left. Of course, we get a repeat Assetto Corsa. So we still have so many different variables by the end of this one. It is going to be incredible, and you do not want to miss it at home, folks. Whether you're watching on the YouTube here, you want to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we thank you all for joining us.
Yep, exactly. And that's the beautiful thing about the PXN Pentathlon is, as you mentioned, Mike, different platforms, different cars, different disciplines of motorsport as well. This is not a championship for those that are going to put 3,000 laps on before coming into the first race of the campaign. It's all about how adaptable you are as a race car driver. Right then, the race results provisional, of course, are in. And it is Robert Skarskalms that takes the race victory. Manuel Lopez in second position. Max Livingston being the 3rd and final podium sitter and the last driver to take away the points and the prizes for this first race of a 5-race campaign. Vincenzo Senatore took all of the pain in that race from a driver that was looking good for the win to someone that crosses the line in 4th position. Sudica finishes in 5th, Serrani in 6th place, Yakush in 7th, then Petrov, Cluncher and Beams round out our top 10. Only a couple of drivers failed to make it for the full race completion. And Mike, to summarise, we wondered what the racing was going to be like in the rules, and I think it's fair to say that it's a very successful endeavour indeed.
We got a little bit of everything here tonight. We got to see some very good racing between, of course, two very talented drivers. And then on top of that, we got to see the championship play out in the exact way that it was meant to. We saw the drivers battling it out for P1, giving it their absolute all. And what happens when you go for that? You crash, you make a mistake. P3 was there, able to pick up the prizes, and Robert, he was there at the right time. Easiest 2 overtakes of his life, probably, and the easiest prize I think he's ever got to take from that result. But either way, he is going to take that one with both hands and smiling like a Cheshire cat, and hopefully he can bring that one into next week as well.
Yep, absolutely. So then, we've come to that special time of day where we're closing off the show. I just want to mention again, for all those that may have missed it in the broadcast, you can take part in this as well if you so wish. Simracing.GP is the platform that this championship is held on. If you register for SGP, come and join the PXN Pentathlon competition, and you could be in iRacing in the BMW next week. If you're not a driver, but you've enjoyed the broadcast, you're watching on the PXN official YouTube channel, give us a subscribe and a like if you can. But more importantly, ladies and gents, boys and girls, write this down. This time next week, iRacing, Oran Park for BMW. Mike, we thought this was fun. I reckon that's going to be absolutely nutty.
Oh my goodness, it is going to be electric. And again, folks, that's free content. So even if you just have iRacing, you can participate. Head on over to Simracing.GP. You can see over there. You can see right there. You can see down there as well. You don't want to miss it.
Yep, absolutely not. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. AK Esports UK have brought you this production. It's been run on simracing.gp for PXN Official. My name's been Paul Jeffrey. That chap there's been Mike Noss. You don't see him, but Tom Bryant's doing the cameras in the background. And from us all, thank you so much for watching. Make a date for your diary. We'll see you all next week.